everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Awesome video in store for you guys today. We are making chatterbaits with our dual molds. I'm going to show you all the different components and everything that you need to make your own awesome chatterbaits at home. Tournaments are constantly won on chatterbaits. Fishermen are filling out their limits and catching big kicker fish on chatterbaits, and I'm going to show you how to make some awesome ones at home yourself. Guys, check out the product list that's down in the description of today's video. It's going to have line by line everything you need in order to do these yourself. And if you decide to go and buy the products you need to make these, make sure to use my Do It Molds affiliate link so that way they know that I sent you.
Warning, 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 warning.
Also, one quick warning for everybody. If you plan to sell these, the method that I'm using today, you cannot sell these. There's a patent against the way that I am making these baits in this video, so you cannot sell them or you risk being sued. As we're going through today's video, make sure to comment down below your favorite chatterbait down in the comment section. I'd love to know what everybody's throwing and let me know what your favorite chatterbait is. Okay, so one of the first things that you're going to need is this Sparkie Jig. There are other molds that you can use, but in today's video we are using this Sparkie Jig Mold. There's no weed guard in this mold. The next thing you're going to need is a straight shank hook. This is a 4/0 flipping hook, or you can use a spinnerbait hook. Then you're also going to need a snap. This is a number 2 decoy snap. That's what's going to go on your actual chatterbait blade that we got right here. And then you're also going to need the WEY 525 wire forms from Do It Molds. And then you're also going to want to have on hand some of these WB 400 wire keepers. One thing you need to pay attention to is you need to make sure that the lead is really hot, because we're shoving a lot of different stuff inside of this mold. So if you don't have the lead nice and hot, it's not going to completely fill everything. So that's just one little tip I wanted to pass along to you. Let's make these chatterbaits. So now that we have our chatterbait all poured up and ready to go, we need to bend that eyelet out away from the head of the chatterbait, so that way we're going to be able to slide our chatterbait blade on. This is what's going to make it better than a lot of the other ones made out on the market, is that that blade is connected directly to the eye on the chatterbait. So a couple things you definitely want to make sure that you do is bend this wire out as straight as possible, so that way you don't have any issues getting the blade on, and then they're not going to have any issues of it running badly or anything like that. Also, once we bend that wire out, we're ready to paint. So painting the chatterbait's pretty simple. You're just going to need a heat gun. You're going to heat the chatterbait head nice and hot, and then you're going to dip it into some powder paint. In the video, you're going to see me using a fluid bed. I just really feel like I get a better coat of paint on the chatterbait when I use a fluid bed, and for that matter, any jigs that I make, I like to use a fluid bed. I just get a better coat of paint on there. I'll list that down in the description of today's video in the product list. But you want to make sure you don't go too thick, but you also want to get a nice smooth coat of paint on that chatterbait head. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to clean the eye of the chatterbait. You need to do this. It's very, very important, because you want that blade to be able to move around on that chatterbait as smooth as possible. You don't want paint mucking it up or anything like that, so you're not getting good activity out of your blade. It's not going to swing right, it's not going to move right, it's not going to vibrate right unless you clean that chatterbait eye really, really well. Okay, so now that we have it painted, it's time to put the blade on the chatterbait, and then we got to bend the eyelet down to the head of the chatterbait. Pay attention to the direction that you put your chatterbait blade on. If it has a bend in it already, just use an old chatterbait that you already have as a reference, that way you get the positioning correct. And then when we bend the eyelet back down to the head of the chatterbait, you got to make sure that you push it all the way down flush, completely against the head of the chatterbait, so that way your blade doesn't fall off. You want to make sure that when you do it though, you don't break any of the paint off. Okay, Okay, so now that we have the chatterbait all painted, the blade's on, that wire eye is all the way down at the head of the chatterbait, it's time to bake it. You want to bake it because if you don't do it, your paint's not going to be very durable, but when you bake it with that powder paint on there, it's going to be very, very durable. I like to bake it at 350 for about 20 minutes. A lot of times I'll do it for 2 rounds of that, so that way it gets even more baked on there, makes it a little bit more durable. I like to hang the chatterbait vertically from the blade so that way if there's any excess paint, it falls down the shank of the hook. I like to use the 6 cent skirts because they have so many awesome options and they're super detailed colors. If you're someone that wants to make your own skirts, which I've done in the past as well, I do recommend you go to Dual Molds, check out all the different skirt materials, the different skirt colors, different skirt options. They have everything you need there to make your own skirts. Now that our skirt is on our chatterbait, it's time to add the snap onto the blade. Now you got to really pay attention to what direction the snap goes on because it does matter. Make sure to reference a chatterbait that you've used in the past to make sure that the blade and that snap are in the correct position. I also like to drill out the holes in my blade a little bit. It's going to make it so that way you get a little bit more action out of that bottom hole that is connected to the head of the chatterbait, and then also like to drill out the holes where the snap goes in. It makes putting that snap on a lot easier, and I feel like you just get a little bit more play in that snap and maybe a little bit more action as a result. Well guys, as you can see, awesome chatterbait. I really think these things are gonna be a fish catcher. Hope you guys liked today's video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'd love it if you guys did that, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.